All right. Well, I'd like to first of all thank Dr. Easton for the opportunity to present our work today. I'm Gary Entwistle from the University of Saskatchewan, and this work was developed with two of my colleagues here, Kenny Davey and Carly Fay, and the title of our presentation is The Underexplored Phenomena of Partial Assurance, which we believe is certainly a very important feature of the assurance environment, which is, we believe, underexplored. So this presentation was based on a paper that we published recently entitled "Sustainability Reporting in the Banking Industry: Examining the Extent of Assurance." So this extent of assurance is something that you will hear in the presentation, and subsumed within that is this notion of partial assurance. So in that published paper, we looked at the sustainability reporting and sustainability assurance choices being made by 58 large publicly traded banks across 13 countries. And so our presentation is this presentation is based on information that we gathered from those 58 banks. So just sort of a framework for the presentation today. Um, we can just start with the basic idea of information, and then the idea of, do you trust that information? And of course, this is where assurance comes in, is sort of adding trust to information, making that information credible. And so, we can think of assurance from the standpoint of financial statements and sort of how does that world of assurance work. But we can also contrast that with assurance in the world of sustainability reporting. And that's the basic kind of messaging that we want to give here, is that there's a fundamental difference between assurance in the world of financial statements and assurance in the world of sustainability reports. And so we try to bring this to light with two components. One is just how much of that information is being assured. So we refer to that as extent of assurance, and it can be everything from zero all the way to 100%. The other component is at what level the assurance is being produced, and again, it can be everything from there's simply no assurance to the highest level of assurance, which is reasonable assurance, where we actually have an audit done. And so we're trying to sort of bring this this contrast to life in this presentation. So we can start by, this is one of the companies in our sample, the Bank of Montreal, and here is their financial statements. And we can start by just looking at the contents of the financial statements, which is essentially the financial statements along with the notes. We can then look at the assurance that's attached to that information, and what we see is that this information is being audited. So that's at the reasonable assurance level. So this is the highest level of assurance that exists. And then we can also look at just the extent of the assurance. And essentially, what we can see here is that essentially all of the financial statements is being assured. Now, if we're let's just say focus on one of those elements of the financial statements, which is the balance sheet. So, if we look at the balance sheet of the Bank of Montreal, there's a number of metrics here, and essentially, perhaps not surprisingly, every one of those metrics is assured. So there's 94 metrics here over the 2 years. Every one of those metrics is assured. So 100% extent of assurance. And we almost take that for granted in the financial statement world, that every metric is assured. There's no choosing. There's no picking and choosing which metrics to assure. It's all assured. Now, if we look at the sustainability report of the Bank of Montreal, again, in terms of the contents, if we're to sort of look a little closely here, we see that there is environmental metrics, social metrics, governance metrics, sustainable finance metrics. We have the contents of this report. And then when we look at the assurance, which is attached to that report, one of the first things we see is that the level of assurance is lower down. These are limited assurance engagements. But perhaps more importantly is that the assurance is only on a certain set of metrics. So there's choices being made in terms of which metrics are going to be assured. So if we take, for example, this is one of the tables in the sustainability report at the Bank of Montreal. Here's a set of metrics. These are governance metrics, social metrics here. Now, if we look closely, what we see here is a diamond symbol. Now, that symbol is the symbol that tells us that KPMG has provided limited assurance on that one metric. Now, if we were to count these, what we would see is that of the 27 metrics that are presented in this table over the 3-year period, only one of them is assured. So a 3.7%, as compared to 100% of the financial statement metrics. Now, what we can do now is we can sort of just sort of lay this out in terms of the assurance environment here. So on top, we have the level of assurance, and that's everything from no assurance all the way to reasonable assurance, which is the highest level of assurance. One row down is the extent of assurance, and this is everything from no assurance all the way to 100%. Now, if we go down one more row to the financial statements, we see it's all in one place. All 58 of the companies are producing they're assuring 100% of the metrics and at the highest possible level. If we go down to sustainability reports, it's a very, very different picture. We have everything from no assurance, 7 of the 58, to where we do have 100% assurance, although it's at the limited level, and that would be where regulation is requiring that. By far, the largest proportion of assurance in the sustainability reporting world is partial assurance, somewhere between 0 and 100%. And again, a very, very different world than the world of financial statements. Now, if we sort of drill down a little bit in terms of the extent of assurance for a subset of our banks, what we see is that on average, only 6.8% of all sustainability metrics are assured. The lowest being 2.7%, the highest being 14.3%. So bunched over on the left-hand side. Of course, in the financial statements, it's all at 100%. So a very, very different environment. We can also sort of see that at the individual sort of subject matter level. The highest average assurance is in environmental metrics at 16%. The lowest is in governance at 2.6%. Again, the financial statements, it's all 100%. We can even see from from the page perspective, if we're to look at, how many pages have assurance attached to them. Again, the financial statements, every page of the financial statements is assured. Sustainability reporting, in terms of, where we might see a symbol suggesting some assurance on a page, on average, it's just over 1 out of every 10 pages has some element of assurance attached to it. Again, a very different environment. So in terms of, some major takeaways when we contrast these environments, in the world of financial statements, we have a very, very stable assurance environment. In the sustainability reporting world, it's shifting. It shifts from year to year. and different levels as well. So a very, very different environment. It's very consistent across companies in the financial statement world. All of our banks, all of them, 100% high level audit. In the sustainability reporting world, there's tremendous variation of assurance on sustainability information. Again, financial statements, this is where we will typically see the highest level of an audit. It's very rare in the sustainability reporting world to have audit level assurance, perhaps a few environmental metrics. And again, in the financial statement world, it's 100%. All of those metrics are assured. In the assurance world, the most common feature we see is partial assurance. So it's incomplete. Now, in terms of who should be aware of this concept of partial assurance, students. Most students that would be graduating are they're very aware of the financial statement auditing world. They're not as aware, I would say, of the world of sustainability assurance, which is a partial assurance world. Certainly CPAs should be aware of this. There's a tremendous market potentially for providing assurance on sustainability metrics. So they should be aware of this world. Analysts that they're assessing the credibility of sustainability reports, they need to be aware that it's primarily a partial assurance world. So how much confidence do they have in that whole set of information? Regulators certainly need to be aware of what this partial assurance world that we primarily have a partial assurance world, and are they okay with that? And then academics, I would say, are also they really need to be aware that we don't simply have a world of no assurance and full assurance, which is where some of the binary measures currently are 0, 1. It's much more, I think, nuanced than that, and our measures need to be aware that partial assurance is where most of the sustainability assurance is. Finally, just in terms of the future of sustainability assurance, I'd say it's still quite uncertain kind of where that world will land, or will it continue to just have significant variation. And I would say at the moment it's very likely that we're going to see a partial assurance world into the foreseeable future for sustainability assurance. So thank you very much.